The Met Commissioner is launching a crackdown on the thousands of gang members here in London. Bernard Hogan-Howe wants to ensure the violent criminal hardcore is behind bars. He's scrapped Operation Trident to create a new team that will target groups of youths in crime hotspots and use divide and rule tactics to stop them in their tracks. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
The tactics might be familiar, but Operation Trident has been given a makeover. Scotland Yard's long-running initiative to tackle gun crime in London's black community has a new mission. Now it'll target the growing menace of criminal gangs. Trident's relaunch was backed up by early morning raids, leading to more than 200 arrests.
What we're doing is we're concentrating on the high-priority offenders, those gang members we know are causing an awful lot of crime. And if we are ruthless in the way that we go out and find them, lock them up, or divert them if we can. But the important thing is to stop them hurting people. That's what we're going to do.
Gang violence is London-wide, but the police have identified 19 problem boroughs, north and south of the river, both inner city and outer suburbs. Police intelligence suggests there are 250 active criminal gangs with 4,800 members in total. They're thought to be responsible for half of all shootings in London, 40% of robberies, 1 in 5 stabbings and 1 in 7 rapes. Negus McLean was 15 when he was stabbed to death by a gang in Edmonton last year. His killers were filmed by CCTV cameras as they chased him on bikes. Negus's mother believes the new police crackdown will face the same old obstacles.
There's a lot of crime that goes on that people do know who's done it. They do know what's going on, but no one will talk. I don't know if it's because they're scared of reprisal on themselves or if it's just this thing about, I'm not going to be a snitch, I'm not going to talk.
Operation Trident was launched in 1998 to tackle gun violence by so-called yardie gangs. Later, it focused exclusively on crimes referred to by the shorthand black-on-black killings. Its new brief will see a doubling in the number of officers to 1,000, but there are fears its original mission will be diluted.
You're moving, I think, resources from serious and organised crime into tackling or a wholesale attack on youth violence. Trident, in my view, has been a lot more than that.
Trident is about gun crime, and what they're doing is expanding that group, greatly increasing the numbers in order to take account of gang crime in a more concerted way. And I think that's the right way to go.
The new look Trident will get an extra £60 million a year, but the money will come from other areas of the Met. This is about diverting existing resources, not funding new ones. Simon Harris, London Tonight, Trafalgar Square.
Well, the question is, can it work? With nearly 5,000 gang members in London, there is a big task ahead. London Tonight has spoken to 2 young men, both who escaped a life of crime to become youth workers. Piers Hopkirk has been to meet them on a South London estate to see if they think the new Met initiative can work.
I got kicked out of my house at an early age and I had no hope, I had no guidance, and I was a very angry, frustrated, young, negative man, and I channeled it in that way. You know, I was heading one way, which was to prison.
Jermaine Lawler spent his teenage years in an East London gang. He admits many of his former friends are either dead or in prison. Now, though, he's a youth worker. So does he believe this new approach to tackling gang crime is enough?
The government needs to be doing more things. Like, you can look around and see there's nothing nice here to do. There's no buses, there's no youth clubs, there's no activities for young people to be engaged in. So young people are automatically going to turn to the roads, they're going to turn to the streets, and they're going to pick up drugs. I think that the problem needs to be solved, you know. There needs to be more outreach workers, more youth workers on the streets, going to these estates, talking to these young people and saying, you know what, we don't condone what you're doing, but we understand what you're doing and we want to sympathise, we want to help you, we want to know what you're dreaming, what your goal is.
Stephen Ittar from Lewisham was diverted from the lure of crime. He too is a youth worker. We showed him footage of today's police raids.
In my personal life, coming from an environment which was, you know, full of crime and things like that, I believed in alternatives, and having that alternative created a new pathway for me. And I just say, you could kick down doors as long as you want to, but it's not going to last for long.
Patrick Regan is the founder of a charity which aims to create opportunities for young people in the capital.
So how do we stop people getting into gangs in the first place? Well, I think there's a combination of reasons why kids get involved in gangs. We need to look at the drivers. One key thing is we've got to keep kids in education. You know, what often happens is a kid will fall out of school, be living in a tougher state, dad's not at home, mum's working multiple jobs, gets offered some money and then starts getting involved in this gang that becomes like his family. So we need these kids to have meaningful relationships with a trusted adult. I've seen so many kids turn around when they realise they've got hope and purpose. I don't believe hopeful kids join gangs, and that's what we need to do. But it's got to be long-haul stuff, not knee-jerk reaction.
Well, Assistant Commissioner Mark Rowley is the Met's head of specialist policing and joins us now. Now, your Commissioner, Bernard Hogan-Howe, has said that this new unit marks a step change in the way that gang crime is tackled. So basically, you're saying our gang is bigger than yours.
This is a massive step change. Today's seen 171 warrants. We already have, I think, 230 people in custody or thereabouts. We've recovered firearms, we've recovered drugs, we've recovered other weapons. It's a step change in terms of our efforts for enforcement. We've got a proud tradition in terms of some of the work we've done on gangs. Trident, previously focusing just on gun crime, has had amazing successes, but we need to broaden that into the whole gang crime issue, because as you've said earlier, I think in your report, gangs in London responsible for 1 in 7 rapes, 1 in 5 stabbings and over half the shootings. So we're doing a step change in our enforcement effort, one joined-up approach across London with dedicated teams on the critical boroughs as well as at the centre, working in specialist policing and working very closely with local authorities. Okay. We're really pleased that all the leaders of the local authorities have said they want to work with us, because as your report has said, we need to give young people an option out of gangs as well. OK, looking at the numbers, 500 extra officers, where are they coming from when there are widespread cuts throughout the force? We're reprioritising officers away from other tasks, so whilst we've been working on gang crime in a range of different units across London, we haven't had this many dedicated to it before, so we've been dealing with it perhaps on, in hindsight, too much of a piecemeal approach. So having over 1,000 dedicated towards it, but that's just the heart of the solution. I mean, today we've had 1,300 officers working on the operations we've run today, so it's over 1,000 dedicated to it, but really coordinating the whole Met in an effort against gang crime. You're saying you're reprioritising, so essentially the new Trident unit is a morphing of the old, rather successful one, I might say. Does that mean that there is no longer the need to deal with black-on-black crime? Is that problem totally solved now? Absolutely not. Where we are is the existing effort against gun crime in black communities and in other communities will continue as part of this new operation. We're not taking anything at all away from that, but it seemed to us if our most successful initiative against gang crime has been Trident, which has been focused on gun crime in all communities for the last few years, if that's our most successful initiative, then it makes sense to build on that and expand that into all gang-related crime. Assistant Commissioner Rowley, I'm afraid we have to leave it there. Thank you for your time this evening. Thanks very much. Thank you very much.